guys. So this is me again for another interesting episode of Bookish Reflections. You know what I love to do? I just love to talk about books, talk about some of the very interesting issues that they raise, and sit down with my friends and fellow book lovers who have been inspired by wonderful characters and really amazing stories. But today I will be sitting down with Praise Sanni-Adeniyi, a poet and the author of a very wonderful collection of poetry titled Of Thoughts and Naughts. It's a wonderful collection, very reflective, very soul searching, and I feel like everyone should read this. So I'm privileged to have her with me today, and we'll be discussing at length about some of the issues that she raises in her poems. So don't go anywhere, just sit down and enjoy our wonderful chat. Besides, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do like the video, share with friends and family, and also you can follow me on all my social media platforms. Instagram, I am at Onome Onwah. Twitter, I am at Bookish Reflect, and Facebook, I'm just Onome Onwah. So just follow me and be kept abreast of all of my works, especially as it relates to books. So sit down, enjoy my conversation with Praise Sanni-Adeniyi. Hello, Praise. Good
Hi,
afternoon.
good
Thank you for
afternoon.
doing this with me. I was thinking about who I could call on my show, and your name just popped up, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, I enjoyed your poetry. Thank you for sharing it with me. I'm
Yeah.
not, when we met, I told you I wasn't a poetry person, but
Mhm.
I picked up your collection and I sat down and I finished it. Like, it was at night and it made it so, I mean, it was just so beautiful. I found myself thinking on a whole lot of issues just reading it. And that is
Mhm.
why in my review I said it's a very reflective collection. Like every poem was so reflective. So when I reached out and you decided to do this, I was actually very excited. So thank you again. Thank you
You're
for doing
welcome.
this. And I would just like to know, I know we had spoken a bit when we met at Roving Heights.
Mhm.
Independence Party. But just for the sake of people who will be listening today, can you like tell us how you knew that poetry was something you wanted to do? Like to, I always see poetry as it's a way of practically revealing yourself to the world. Most
Mhm.
times poets are quite personal, and
Mhm.
so when did you like make up your mind to say, okay, I think I want to reveal myself a bit and do poetry?
So this was actually like a serious struggle because I had written the poems. I started writing the poems for a long time, and deciding to publish was something to write. It's a different thing to share with the world, and I think that's the aspect
Yeah.
you're asking about. That when was I ready to share it with the world? When I initially started writing, I felt like some of my poems were too deep. Even the poems in the collections, I just intentionally removed some, didn't make some part of the collection because I still feel like they're so deep and I'm not ready to share that with the world. But when I made the decision to start sharing was because I realized that these things I had written about were things that other people were also going through. So now I'd have conversations with my friends and I say that, oh, really? So it's not just me, I'm not just a weird one. And I was like, okay, maybe it's time for me to put out something that everybody can relate to. So that was like the turning point in the hoarding,
Yeah.
just stopped hoarding a lot of
And
times.
I was as a follow-up question, how did you feel with feedback? I mean, like I gave my feedback in the review, but I'm sure you would have been getting loads of feedbacks. And what has it been like? How have people responded to this collection? Because like you said, it's actually very, very deep. And for so many
Yeah.
people, it is like you are having to show them the part of them they either don't want to see or don't want to talk about or are afraid to confront. So just how was the feedback like?
The feedback was actually amazing. When I received the feedback, I was grateful that, I actually wrote the poem. Some people said they really liked it. Like, as you said, a particular person said, thanks for writing the words I wanted to express, but I didn't know how to express. So
Mm,
people were welcoming to it, and it just made me realize, okay, so why did I hold this for like a long time? If people
yeah,
were going to receive it with open arms. So people actually received it with very wide arms, and they were happy about it because they were able. The most important thing was the fact that they were able to relate to the poem. So that was why
yeah.
everybody just giving different reviews in a positive way.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So
Okay.
there is the poem I actually really love, naysayers, and
Okay.
why that poem stood out to me was because I don't think there's anybody who has not come across a naysayer, whether
Yeah.
it is from your family or someone who basically just makes a very slight, let's call it a slight comment, or a very a remark that lets them know that they don't believe in what you're going
You're
to do or
different.
what you're about
Yeah.
to do. So you said the voices that told us we couldn't become the stepping stone when we finally do. And you put in the last line there, you said prove them wrong. So
Yes.
why did you write that? What
As
inspired
you
that?
said, as you said, we all have naysayers in our life. So this one was particularly directed at one naysayer in my own life. I will not mention the person's name, but when
Okay.
I'm here to prove the person wrong. But when I prove the person wrong, I will say, oh, I said I was gonna prove you wrong, and I did. It was just one of those things where people just get on your nerves and say stuff they're not supposed to
Mm,
say, and I'm just like, why are you talking like this? Like, if you don't believe in me, step back, and just do your thing, and let me believe in
yes.
myself. So that's what inspired me to
Mm.
write the poem. It was because of a naysayer in my own life.
Yeah, so can you just give an advice to people who still have a lot of naysayers around them? And I believe, well, when you told some people that you were going to publish a collection of poetry, probably you had some naysayers who thought that
I didn't even make
maybe,
it known to everybody until I was
oh,
done with
oh,
the book. I
right.
didn't make the process because I didn't want to hear what anybody had to say. As long as I made up
Mm,
my mind about publishing it, that was it. So everybody has naysayers. To be honest, we are every day coping with, and trying to get ahead of what people are saying about us. But I don't know if I'm in the right place to advise anyone. I'll just say do your thing because I'm still trying to even
mm,
advise myself, about how to
mm,
cope with people like that. So the only advice is just do your thing. Some days will be hard, other days will be harder, than previous
mm,
days. You just have to believe in yourself. Never lose sight of
yeah.
your.
Then in the poem Currencies, you talk about the value of time. And
Yes.
in our generation, they say we are the jet age. I think jet age is still, for the lack of a better word, the way everything is going so fast. And
Yes.
so I see that in this generation, or many people are still contending or do not know the value of time.
Mm.
I see a lot of people, when you look around today, young people are either wasting time or just a few are utilizing time. How do we speak to that issue in this generation as to how valuable time is? People say time is money, but
Mm.
you wonder if people really believe that time is money, because you see a lot of young people on my street alone. Sometimes my dad has to really keep talking about it when we drive through in the mornings, and you're like, why are these young people loitering around at this time of the day? Don't they have something to do and all of that? So how can you speak to that? Well, I call it a problematic state of young people where we do not understand the value of time.
I think unfortunately there isn't much you can speak to these people to make it make sense to them because for some things like this, experience is the best teacher. So when they grow up and realize how much time they've wasted, they would unfortunately be now aware. But it might be too late, to trade it back. You cannot get those currencies you traded back. So we just hope that a lot of people make sense of it at this point because I hate when people waste my time. People don't understand how important time is. We have an appointment for 12 and you keep me within one. So I'm just thinking about how many things I could be doing in that hour you're wasting or how many other things
Yeah.
like so a lot of people actually do not understand the value, and I don't think we're not going to start ringing a siren or ringing a bell to say time is important or anything. A lot of people have different priorities. For some people, that time is important to them; they have priorities. For other people, that time is not important to them; they do not have priorities. So I think it just depends on the value you place on yourself as a human being and what you're trying to do with your life as well. And so many people don't have goals, they don't have aspirations, and so they cannot value time. And to those people, it can't make sense. Like you can't be clanging a cymbal in their head and telling them that time is important. So it just is based on a personal tale. If you get it, you get it. If you don't get it, forget
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly. And why I said, I really, and I'm not saying it in any flattering way. I really loved your collection because I could relate. And then 2020, I mean 2020, I mean 2019 when we had the COVID, was it 2020 or 2019? The COVID pandemic started, and
2020.
yeah, 2020, and we saw the world at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody trying to just survive.
Yes.
Everything we had to get used to a new normal, and I remember saying, "Oh, I can't wait for 2020 to be over." And then 2021 came, and for me, it's been quite a year. And
Mm.
so when I read your poem "Death," I have never in my entire life lost dear ones. In the number and in the record in which I have lost people between 2020 and 2021. It just came like a series of this. You're just coming from one and another just
Roman
happens. And
is
then
created.
I read Death, and I just sat on my bed, and I said I was reading the collection in the middle of the night, and it made a lot of sense. How do we come to terms with the grief that a lot of us have felt, whether it is to the COVID pandemic or grief of some of us are grieving family relationships that probably are not working, or we're
Mm.
grieving most of the time there's the death and passing of friends and loved ones. How do we grapple with that?
So personally, I haven't lost anyone. So when I wrote that poem, I wrote it vicariously through other people that have had experiences such as that. And if I said to myself, if I could put myself in somebody's shoes and be able to write so deeply, I wonder how much pain, like death, actually means to people. Like how much, I don't know how much disbalance, unbalance it causes to people. So I don't think there's ever getting over death. Somebody
Yeah.
says you don't, the wound doesn't heal. You just go around the wound, and you become big around the wound. The wound never goes and never stays. So I think that death is forever going to be like a mystery or a phenomenon that will never be understood, because a lot of times when people die, we hear people asking why did this person die, how come. It's just like a series of unanswered questions. We don't even understand why, and then death now makes us question why we were living in the first place. So it's just a whole school that nobody ever wants to dig into, nobody ever wants to talk about until it happens to you or it happens to somebody so death will forever be a mystery. There's no getting over it. Unfortunately, it's going to
Yeah.
happen to each and every one of us. Unfortunately, we will all feel somebody's death once in a while. So we just need to learn to grow around the pain. That's why I wrote that the pains always remain fresh. That we must never be. That was in another poem, though. I think it was the second poem, that we must never be afraid to live with the aches, of pain, because some pains will always remain fresh. And when I was speaking about pains that always remain fresh, I was speaking about the pains of death, because especially when you lose a loved one, you can never get your mind off of it. Every day you're trying to live and you remember them, you're trying to do something, you remember them, so that's death.
Yeah, I totally relate and understand what you were saying. So in truer meanings, you said the ones who laugh the hardest have felt the saddest and cried the
The
hardest.
hardest.
This sounds very profound.
Mm.
Where did that come from?
Yeah,
Because it feels so true.
it feels so true. It came from a personal experience. I was having I was discussing with one of my friends, and I realized that that was who she was. She was the one that would laugh the hardest, and she would be the one to cry the deepest. When nobody was there, and she was the clown. Trying to make everybody laugh or happy, and then you know on the contrary, feel things the deepest. A lot of people are actually like that. I was watching a documentary, which actually was the first thing that inspired me to write that poem. I was watching a documentary, and it was one of my friends that shot it, actually, my friend's sister, and it was Class Clown. And then in the documentary, the guy was talking about how he always tries to be the class clown, so that he always tries to be happy, he always tries to make everybody happy so that he can forget his own problems. You know, he
Mm.
always tries to make people laugh. He always tries to crack jokes so that he will not think too deeply about his problems. I realize that a lot of people that actually, try to be that funny person outside are people that have actually hurt the most and are just trying to make sure that nobody hurts as much as they do, trying to crack jokes and all of that. So the people that laugh the hardest sometimes are the ones that cry the deepest as well.
Yeah, we can't judge people by their exteriors only.
Exactly. So that
Um,
that just makes life confusing because you see
yeah,
somebody happy and you think they're happy, but they're not happy. So all really is a facade all about. Everybody's just camouflaging and trying to be what
I
they are
think
not.
social media complicates that too, because you see me on
Yeah,
my Instagram and I'm all laughing and smiling, and really it's just here. It doesn't come from.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes it just
I that was I had to write that down. Like I have to keep reading it over and over to get the deep sense of what you were trying to say, because it just felt so true, like very true, and that's I can say for many of your poems. And now the colors we can't change. I loved that because in a world where we want to be like everybody, we want to fit in, and then but you can't run away from you. Some
yeah,
things just
yeah.
will change.
It does.
Speak to me about that poem. I loved it. I really did. So when I wanted to title what our discussions will be, it just felt like I love that poem. So why don't I pick that as a title and then we just talk about it? So speak to us about colors we can't change. So quest to be.
So colors we can't change. It's not even about trying to change to another person. It's about trying to change to a different version of yourself that might not ever happen due to like your life, the
Mm.
way your life is built around. Sometimes you just wanna why is my life like this? And not even just comparing your life to another person, just comparing life to a higher self or a different self, a different version of yourself that you
Mm.
dream about. Not necessarily, me, I'm not about trying to compare life to people, but sometimes you actually wanna compare life to a different version of yourself. But unfortunately, it won't be possible. Unfortunately, you want to be in Dubai shopping, you want to be on a yacht shaking your like, but unfortunately, you're stuck in Nigeria. Unfortunately, you're
Yeah.
stuck in Nigeria, doing some other things. So, it relates on that funny level, it's there, but on the deeper level, trying to be a different version of yourself, trying so hard to strive to be something else. Trying so hard, it might sometimes, not obviously, it might sometimes even be like, a different, how do I put it? A different, I would just say a different version of yourself that you're trying to attain that, for some reason seems impossible for you to attain. And that's why, you settle, okay, it's not possible. Let me just live in this facade, that I built for myself. Let me just live in what is reality that I don't like. I know it's that I want to change, but sometimes we can't change our reality. If some of us had the choice, we wouldn't be born. If I had the choice, I wouldn't be born. I would just say no.
But but
I would
yeah,
just
I
say
do understand
no.
where you're coming
Stop
from.
that. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah. What
but
do
but some people say, well, what if I want, if there is the resource to get that higher reality, and just for example, you made the issue of being stuck in Nigeria, and some people will do everything. I mean, even go through the back doors to get out of Nigeria through whatever illegal means. So I've noticed, how do we speak to that? People doing everything and feeling as though that there could still be resources that can change their life's trajectory.
Yeah, so that's why I said like it happens on different levels. For some things you might be able to change. For some physical stuff like relocating, moving to a different country, you can change. But for some things like trying to have a different persona from the persona you have. For example, someone that is depressed and is trying to really be a different person, is trying to see how can I be happy, is trying to see how can I think about things that make me happy. But unfortunately, things like it's like forces keep pulling you down into that same circle, and you're unable to live, you're unable to change, you're unable to be a different person because you already somewhat somewhat caged, and it's not easy for people, struggling through depression or other mental health illnesses. It's like you have a picture of what you want to be, but the picture is just unattainable for that period. So I'm talking about deeper things that are actually a struggle to change. So sometimes you just lie in the
To live
reality.
with it.
Yes, you lie in the reality till whenever, and it's just like you are resigning to fate. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, oh well. For some other things like relocating, everybody can do that. Like you just need to, worst case
Yeah.
scenario, just jump on a ship at night and find, find your way
Yeah.
over. But some things can't just be changed. That's just
Yeah.
a sad reality. Because the facade is a lie, so you're trying to live in a lie that you've created for yourself, because you cannot achieve the truth that you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I've had a good time talking about all of this poems with you. I can't thank you enough for blessing people with this, and so keep it up. I'm looking forward to more. I believe this is just one out of how many more to come. So well done. It's a
Uh,
great debut. I'm
you.
sincere. I would buy anything you write. So just keep doing what you're doing,
Thank
and
you.
then keep blessing the world with your words. Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Praise, for
Thank you for
joining me.
having
I've had
me.
an
Thank you so
amazing
much.
today.
I have the same.
I'm definitely going to call you up again for some
All
other
right.
time for another
Definitely.
interesting conversation. All
Okay.
right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Hi. So I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Wow, so many things to unpack, especially when it has to do with our feelings, challenges in life, and how we grapple through these realities. Praise Sanni-Adeniyi has a lot to tell the world. So go get a copy of the book wherever books are sold. I'm sure that you'll thank me later. All right. So thank you once again. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, and also turn on the notifications so that you can not miss any episode. Once again, thank you for being there. Bye.